Hello everybody, Dave Neal here. Let's jump right into this. This is video 2 of the Taylor Nolan tweets heard round the world. Taylor Nolan, past contestant on The Bachelor. She's an advocate for a ton of different things, really. I mean, she's very progressive in her modern version of who she is, but these tweets that were dug up, really not good. She basically made fun of everyone from people of color to fat people, special needs, a lot of, I can't even get into it. We already made a video showing you all the tweets. It was almost like she was tweeting on the hour everything that she could think of offensive. I mean, she was nonstop. Look, I'm a stand-up comedian. I look for the humor in everything. There was really no punchlines attached to them, just negative premises. A lot of negativity she put out into the ether, and it is still there, and she did not scrub that clean. And her apology met that tone deafness from her initial tweets. Her apology, she kind of like jockeyed for a way for her to be the victim, and how people are out to get her, and these tweets were sourced in a not nice way, and this and that. So anyhow, folks, I'm going to play for you guys another statement that she made while she went on this kind of long, ranty diatribe. I'm going to also read a few comments from you guys. You guys have been informing me, teaching me what it means to like center yourself in a certain way. A lot of good can come from this sort of dumpster fire. You know what I mean? It's like a dumpster fire is bad, but like we can at least warm our hands up. You know what I mean, guys? Like a lot. This is the first time in a long time where all of Bachelor Nation was unified in their disapproval of Taylor Nolan. So we'll get into all that. I have a voicemail I'm going to play. If you do want to leave a voicemail, I love to connect with you guys. I love when your voices can be heard. So I've already got like 20 voicemails from people that have called in everywhere from Florida to Hawaii and other countries. So leave a voicemail right up here. 401-213-9828 is my Google voicemail number. Call it whenever you guys want. And please just keep it under a minute. Tell me where you're from, your name if you want, what you do, your age range, whatever it is. Give me some sort of scope of who you are and what you think about the issue, and I'll make my next video in a couple hours playing your voicemails if you want to dive in further to the discussion. Anyway, folks, so let's get into this and play a few. And so if you're catching this video first, just go back and watch my first one where I shared her tweets and we kind of talked about that. It's less about looking at every tweet. I mean, I don't think she can really say anything that's worse than she's already said. She basically said everything but the N-word, right? Literally everything but that. Like apparently in 2012, like she knew as long as they don't say the N-word, I'm fine. I don't know, folks. So she's basically, you know, it ain't looking pretty for her out there. But let's go right into this and play. So she went to Instagram story while she waited for her IGTV to upload. So she was waiting for her IGTV to upload, and let's just play a couple clips from her. You know, and like I said before, let's just analyze this apology and how tone deaf it was, how she kind of centered herself as a victim. And whenever someone's jockeying to be the victim, even if you are, whenever you're jockeying to be the victim, it's kind of like hard to have an argument or even a discussion at that point. So anyway, here we go.
The last thing I'll say on here, and then I'm going to wait till this video just uploads, is, you know, I really sincerely hope that y'all consider grace.
Love that when she wants grace, she becomes Southerner. I sincerely hope that y'all can consider grace. I did not have sexual relations without, you know what I mean? She just Bill Clinton'd her apology.
Here. I hope that y'all consider grace here.
Double y'all. She did a double y'all.
I hope that you consider grace because there's a big difference here.
Now, I want to know where the grace was for other people that she's... Now I'm going to read some comments from people that accuse Taylor Nolan of being a bully and using social justice as a tool to bully others, which is very fascinating, right? Because social justice is an important thing. It's important that we are progressive and want equal values from people and equal opportunities and all that. That's very important. You know what I mean, folks? Like, we want everyone to start off as close to the same place on the starting line as possible. How you run the race is up to you, but we don't. You know what I mean? I think that's fair to say for anybody out there. I think we can all mainly agree with that in the end, even though we have our biases and we're looking out for number one, even with all that said, I think it's good for all that we want that equality. Look at how you can almost feel how just uptight this exoskeleton of anger that she has, because she is not ready to talk about this. Not at all. This is guys, this is a therapist, okay? We're judging her as a therapist, not just I was on Bachelor, y'all. She double y'alled us.
Between what we see from other white Bachelor alum and what you're seeing here with me.
So she's using her race and gender. Oh, she didn't say gender there. She's just using her race so far to sort of almost explain how what she has done is different than others. And I'm not trying to make this a race thing. This is really a Taylor Nolan versus the world thing, folks. But just like her tweets, she's going to be firing off in Yosemite. She's Yosemite Samming right now. Yosemite Sam, double y'all. If you do want to watch, she has some people comment, Dave, we don't just play the thing. We don't like you interjecting. Just go watch it on her page, guys. Come on.
There's a big difference. This is not present time. This is not even in the near past. B,
by the way, I don't mean to make light of any of this, but the inner jokester in me just can't help. But whenever I've had to deal with a woman making a list like A, B, C, it is never good. It's never like, A, we're going to go get barbecue. B, I'm going to give you the time of your life. And C, I'm going to blow you. It's never something like that. It's always like, A, you should have called me back sooner. B, you didn't, leave off your geo notifications on Snapchat, whatever it is. You never want someone to start listing the things.
I have already been doing the work.
Defensive. I can't get through 5 words without her. I've already been doing the work. This isn't the place to go to trial and then this resume, I've got exceptional, she's just putting adjectives and synonym. You ever go to synonym.com or thesaurus just to find thesaurus.com just to find good words that you've used on your resume?
I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm going to do better because I already have been doing better and have already committed my life's work to being better in all of those areas.
So this is where if she has a good friend, they take her phone away from her and say, honey, go to a spin class. Go to a spin class, put a hat on like you're, star in the show Penn Bagley yourself, and get out there with some Ray-Bans on and don't get noticed in public because you need a little break and time to think about this.
I already have.
Great.
And I'm going to continue to.
Oh, good. Great. Move on, folks. End of the video.
And third big reason why this is different is that a lot of the reason why this even comes up for me
you never want that either.
Because I've experienced that racism. So we're at 62% now. That's what's happening with this video.
Video's uploaded.
I hope that y'all take the time to listen to
Triple
this video
y'all.
and consider giving me an inkling of grace.
All right, let's give her an inkling. Just an inkling. I have an inkling of grace. Just a bit of grace, but she triple y'alled me. I got to end on triple y'all. Go watch the rest of it over there. We got to barrel through this, folks. Come on. Some comments in the Bachelor subreddit. I feel like Taylor is gaslighting all of us with her response. Her apology is incredibly manipulative. I'm honestly shocked. I agree. She's scolding people for figuring out who she actually is and shaming them for expecting her to practice what she preaches. She's always been manipulative. I remember thinking that when she was on Paradise. Look, for me, like I said, I almost expect people to be shitty in nature. Not necessarily like in a vindictive way, just I expect people to be ignorant, not know better, learn from their past, all these things. But like she's on a place where she's trying to do all these things, yet this is something that we're learning about in 2021. She might have just said sorry, not sorry. Yeah, basically sorry for partying. What she's saying is sorry for partying, y'all. That's what she's saying right here. Natasha Parker, everyone.
Outside of the Bachelor world, we have real lives, right?
Exhausted.
The tweets that came up from Taylor's past are awful. Of course they are. They're awful. And she even said that they're awful. So thank you for the immediate response. That's all anybody wants when people do things awfully, right? I have a podcast. I'm sure we're going to talk about it on Clickbait.
I totally respect her wanting to share her point of view on her podcast. Like she's an entertainer. You want to share it? Go download my podcast. Let me get some ad revenue for it. Totally get it. Because it's exhausting to just give this away. It's exhausting for these people to be like, oh, we're having this chat again. Here's a Instagram story. Taylor Nolan is someone I have looked to for valuable insight and even inspiration. I've read all of her previous tweets. While I believe people can change and shouldn't be defined by their past, her reaction today have led me to believe I can no longer trust her. Her defensive, gaslighting demonstrations of an apology are disappointing and shed light on her entire character. She chose to center herself, and learning this, I now see her with a new lens. Chris Harrison's got that lens. If you know, new lens, folks. Lens Crafters sponsoring this episode. While she has made positive impacts recently, learning new information about her, not from 2012, but from her choices today, I've unfollowed her and will continue to follow more reputable and credible experts in the topics she discussed. So there you have it, folks. There you have it. Very interesting stuff indeed. So it's not necessarily what she did in her past. It's how she showed her true colors today. That's kind of what, that makes that's gasoline on the fire. So thank you very much for your feedback. Now I asked people, because I was like, centering. I'm an old dog, right? Like all these words, like I think I have the right idea, and I want everyone to be. I want a lot of good things, but I don't know a lot of this terminology. So my last video, I asked someone to explain to me, what the heck does centering mean? What does it mean to center yourself around something? So here's 2 responses I got. So let's check it out. Thank you so much. I believe was this Lexi? I believe Lexi said this. Thank you so much to everyone who's commented, left voicemails. I do appreciate it. You're doing work to help educate others. When you can learn what you're doing, and when you can learn that it is a manipulative tool, it's good, because in future arguments, you'll try not to do that. Because in the end, I think we all want like a fair representation of our intentions and like trying to do better, X, Y, and Z. So when you learn that you're centering on this or doing that, it's kind of good to shine light on those dark issues. So here we go. To answer your question about centering her whiteness, Taylor is biracial, black and white. And from what I've gathered, that's why she calls Tay Mocha. Got it. Learning something new, folks. And from what I've gathered, I think she grew up in predominantly white spaces and carried anti-black self-hatred, which resulted in her being conditioned to acting more white. There is an issue with black and or white rejection for biracial people, a whole other topic, but this can manifest anti-black racism in someone who is part black. Taylor needs to humble herself. It's great that she's done a lot of work in the last 10 years to become a better ally, but the ego unleashed in her apology video is something that will take time to dismantle. Guys, I can't lie. Like, I got goosebumps reading this. People that comment on my videos, you guys are so well educated. I really respect and appreciate you for leading this discussion with me. Obviously there's going to be people in the comment sections I don't disagree with. I can't read, 1/10 of all of the comments, but y'all are just really bringing so much substance to this all. So thank you guys so much for that. Very important stuff. Now, I know this comment is impossible for you guys to read. It's tiny, but I just wanted to read the first few sentences because it was very fascinating. Honestly, I understand Taylor, but not like in that I agree with her. I just understand how she can be so tone deaf. This also touches on your comment about her centering her whiteness. So as someone who's biracial with a black mother and a white father who was deceased before I was born, I was personally centered in blackness. My identity was formed by those around me. My whole central identity is based on my mother's family. It's how I view myself within the world, even if everyone doesn't view me that way. Taylor, and I can't speak for all BIPOC, but within the community I grew up within, it's easy to see the difference when a girl who has mixed identities has with the whiteness she comes from than a mix of her black view. Very clearly with one of the girls. There's like a certain level of ignorance one can have when they have certain privileges in the world. Now, I wanted to stop on that. So let's stop on that and move forward from there. Very interesting that you talked about privileges. So Taylor has, and again, I'm trying to wrap this all together. So correct me if I'm wrong. Taylor has a privilege of leaning on her white side that some people might not have. When I was reading this comment, it actually made me think of, this is going to just stay with me. It made me think of, what's the kid's name from Jungle Book? He was raised by people by animals in the forest. So that he was literally centering himself on what were the, like the jaguar, panther, whatever those different, what animals were that? And it's very interesting because rather than how you look to others, it really is like how you feel on the inside and who you were raised by. So it's very interesting for me, just some bloke from, white Rhode Island. It's very interesting for me to hear people talk about being able to lean on different identities and sort of how it's a reflection of how you were raised. Just learning this on the fly myself, folks. This is something that, when you talk about it, you can now have more empathy for others going through certain scenarios because I wouldn't think thought twice about how someone centers themselves, this or that. You know what I mean? Thank you guys for that. That's on you guys. I owe y'all for helping me kind of learn something new. Hey, it's Monday. Long way to go. Taylor says, performative insincere apologies 101, brought to you by The Bachelor. That did not age well. That is only a few weeks old, and it is aging worse than Chris Harrison. He's aging okay. That tweet is not. Taylor says, you can say whatever you want, but best believe you're still going to have consequences. Also, the passion behind wanting to trash and demean other women is really disgusting to see. That's not expressing yourself. It's projection and insecurity. It's sad. January 25th, 2021. Of course, we could do this all day long where we take tweets and things she said, and it's all obviously a grand level of hypocrisy. But I will play some voicemail. I will play a voicemail and read a couple more comments from people. This is very fascinating. It's a little long, but it's very well done. This is on the Bachelor subreddit. 1,300 upvotes. People obviously agree. Taylor Nolan and the social justice movement. I'm just going to say it. Taylor has potentially caused terrible damage to the important and needed social justice movement happening both inside and outside this franchise because she co-opted it with poor, hateful intentions. It is clear that Taylor is a quintessential bully in the truest definition of the word. She rebranded her bullying as being social justice and was smart enough to slap blackness on it just when blackness was finally starting to mean something and black voices were being elevated. I personally think that it's very telling that she spent years punching down at so many disenfranchised groups and not identifying as black. Then she mysteriously made a shift when PC culture was starting to get more mainstream, at which point she switched to identifying as black and immediately started punching up. Now look, it's one thing to say, oh, Taylor's tweets are wrong. This is like really well said on how she kind of might have shifted her center of where she stands on different issues in order to benefit herself. And whenever you bring in like benefiting from certain issues, now don't get me wrong, I'm here with the YouTube channel talking about this and all that jazz, but I'm not also like condemning others and being hypocritical there. I'm just a stand-up comedian in my new office, got here last night, and I'm just trying to figure this out with the rest of you guys. I do not come from a perch where I look down and tell people they are wrong. I am clearly from Rachel Kirkconnell to Chris Harrison and a lot of other people trying to understand how people's ignorance could get them there. I'm not one who says the Confederate flag should be something that we have in our everyday life. But if someone posted a photo with it in 2018, rather than just everyone agree that's wrong, I want to go, yes, and why is that there? Why did they think that was okay? What's their education system looking like? What's their society looking like? Why are we still having these discussions? So I'm asking a lot of whys. All right. I personally think that is very telling that she spent years. Okay, to all those who fall into a category who she denigrated with her bigotry, especially those who saw Taylor as an ally, this is deeply hurtful and wounding. I'm so sorry. She is not what social justice or anti-racism is about, and her playing out a caricature of blackness and anti-racism that is hateful and exclusionary is deeply offensive to those who do that work and the BIPOC who actually fight for those causes who she is now trying to hide behind. Anti-racism is not a F white people and whiteness movement, and those like Taylor who co-opt a movement built on empathy and empowerment to gobble up attention and power, it unfortunately moves us a step back. Very well said. You start to get some, internet points for being against something that should be obvious. You start to build some clout for leaning in a certain direction. What's the intention there? Is there power? Is there control? A lot of what progressives want is a good thing, but then people get involved that like control. There are many of us in this movement who do not weaponize our internal racism against any and everyone we can strike out against. There are many of us that can see the white supremacy that is baked into our culture without using it as an excuse for our shitty choices and behavior. There are many of us who don't want to endlessly punish people for their mistakes and genuinely want to create a kinder, more empathetic environment where all people are given the benefit of doubt as well as being held accountable. Social justice is about empowerment for all, and the repercussions of white supremacy hurts all of us, white folks as well as BIPOC. The end goal here is for there to be equality and ultimately reconciliation. Taylor may have been a part of the movement. She may have even been a part of the work, but she was not for kindness and compassion for any of us, and she doesn't speak for all black folks or members of this movement. The only work Taylor did was for herself, It was not about the social justice movement. In effect, she's trying to shield herself using people she hurt and is hurting through her refusal to take responsibility shows this explicitly. She finishes with, we are intentional and hold her accountable, not with hatred, but with true, loving justice. This doesn't have to be a setback, setting each camp deeper into their beliefs. It can serve as a moment of accountability that softens rigid thinking and creates deeper empathy for everyone. Let's move it along. Can we stop putting these people on a pedestal? Not much else we need to say there. Stop putting these Bachelor contestants on a pedestal. I think this rings a little deeper for people because she is a therapist, but we need to stop putting people on a pedestal. Everyone's trying the best with the information they have, and some people have some bad information. Some people are out there thinking they're being funny or witty or whatever. Some people are out there looking for control because they can't control whatever's within or their past guilt, whatever the case may be. I'm not a therapist. Don't claim to be one, Taylor, but clearly you need to go see one. Taylor said, E! News, Hannah Brown literally didn't say anything in her statement other than center herself on some journey she is on, and you give her credit and center her for calling for change. Do better. This, of course, after Hannah Brown sang lyrics to a song, including the N-word. So Taylor was saying she's centering herself on some journey. Oh, how the tides have turned. Someone had posted, can we finally discuss the fact that there's a spectrum of racist transgressions and not all bad behaviors are created equal, have the same impact? For example, Hannah B's singing slip and failure to recognize its importance is not the same as Taylor's overt, I don't even know what to call it, hate. Chris Harrison's interview is not the same as people who celebrate the Old South, and celebrating the Old South is still not as bad as Taylor's hate. So smart. It's not binary, good, bad. It's ignorance, racism. There's things in the middle between what is just good and evil. And Chris Harrison defending Rachel Kirkconnell doesn't mean Chris Harrison would have attended that event. Rachel Kirkconnell attending that event doesn't mean she did it with a negative thought. It's kind of it's an implicity. It's kind of like, well, I didn't know better, but maybe I should have. I apologize for being ignorant, but don't accept that. And that's what she touched on with her apology. So it's very interesting stuff. But with Taylor, I mean, it's hard to sort of interpret Taylor's tweets in a way, and trust me, I'm trying, right? But it's hard to interpret her tweets, her tweets. It's hard, y'all, said it 5 times. Drink every time I say y'all, we're going to get drunk. It's hard to interpret those tweets in a way that is anything other than just very aggressive. And of course here, we had Bachelor Nation's Taylor accuses Ari of sex shaming, bullying, and belittling her. It's like they got in a fight, and then she kind of pulls all the cards she can on him. And of course, this isn't a great example because Ari's a kind of piece of crap. But she says, I get it's hard for white men, especially to understand their privilege, because y'all really benefit from upholding white supremacy shit you made. So when someone, especially a BIPOC woman, asks for accountability or calls into question your problematic or harmful opinions, you're quick to belittle, shame, and deflect. It feels threatening, and how dare I? You want to put them back. It feels threatening, and how dare I? You want to put them back in place, make us be classy for you. Now, don't get me wrong, Ari was in the wrong here, but for her to jockey into the position of now becoming a BIPOC woman, so race and gender, as a way to win the argument with him. No, like I said, he was in the wrong. Just another example of her sort of talking about Ari's place of privilege and yet not acknowledging hers, which, as other people have said, was centered in whiteness before. And of course, the privilege of attraction is another one that she had. She was able to be a cute girl who was able to bang out these tweets and just kind of go recklessly uncalled for. And that's, while all privileges come in different forms, that's one that is glaring, and she wasn't able to address the privileges that she has been afforded. Here's an interesting one. I'm going to end it on a voicemail, and I'll read this. I was reading the Bible. I'm not a practicing Christian, raised Catholic, but of course, we have a very, very famous quote right here. Jesus responds to the Pharisees with what have become immortal words. Let him who is without sin cast the first stone. The mob, understanding the rebuke, put down their projectiles, and the terrified woman is spared. The idea that Jesus had was, we shouldn't judge others because we're not perfect. So I do believe we need to get away from a place where we think we need to judge Taylor for all of her past mistakes. With that said, she's still making the mistakes by not learning. So it's almost like the pressure is warranted. Does that make sense, guys? So I'll just read this because this is actually a good place of growth. The real target of this story is a perennial problem in the human soul, self-righteousness. Self-righteousness is the degenerate outgrowth of something otherwise extremely valuable, a desire to be in the right. The problem is that being in the right in some areas has a fateful tendency to lead us to see ourselves as morally blameless across our entire lives, and therefore encourages a particular mean-spiritedness and inhumanity towards those who transgress in situations where we have been good. Our impeccable position on, say, the economy or poverty or the right way to run a household can give us grounds for viewing ourselves as morally blameless in and of ourselves, a stance from where extraordinary cruelty can follow. Very, very interesting things, folks. Here's a phone call from Florida, and then we'll get out of here.
Hey, this is Anonymous from Florida. Oh my goodness. WTF. I am shocked at what she had to say, especially someone who claims to have such a high emotional intelligence. If you look back on her history in the Bachelor world, it's like karma coming back for her. She's so tone deaf, like you said, and she's playing the victim. It's disgusting, and I hope that she can gather herself and release a statement that comes from her heart, comes from a good place where she's not the victim.
There you have it, folks. That's one voicemail. I got about 30 of them. If you want to leave a voicemail, 401-213-9828. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know how we can warm our hands up on this dumpster fire. How can we be better but not self-righteous? Would love to hear what you have to say. Thank you so much for being a part of this chat. Hit the like button and subscribe for future videos. We'll see you guys later on.